Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. This video is for part 5 of the Natural History CAL. The Natural History is the Scheepjes CAL2020 and has been designed by Christina from A Spoonful of Yarn. In part 5 we're going to be adding this part here to our blanket, so mostly the part here in the green, but also some of the rows before that. So this part we'll be adding to the blanket. So the square that we have at the end of part 4, we're going to be growing that larger in part 5. Yarn that I'm still using Scheepjes stonewashed yarn because I have one of the stonewashed kits, and for this part you'll be using the 4mm hook that goes along with that. I'll take you step by step through all the rounds that make up part 5. Thank you for watching. Hope it's a useful video for you. Round 69, I have color 4 on my hook, and we're going to start in any corner space, or any chain 2 corner space, with a standing double crochet. So double crochet in the corner, chain 2, and another double crochet in the same corner space. Now the repeat on the straight edge. In the first chain space, so here in the first one, you work 1 double crochet. Now come to the next chain space, so this one here, and work 2 doubles in there. So that's 1, 2 doubles. And you do that 21 times. So this was once. The next chain space, again 2 doubles. So that's 2 times. The next chain space, 2 doubles. That's 3 times, and then the next one, 2 doubles. So this is 4. Now repeat this 21 times. I'll see you at that point. So the first chain space gets 1 double crochet, and then the next 21 chain spaces all get 2 double crochets. So work those 21 chain spaces, and then I'll see you back. So I've just done the repeat 21 times, and I have 21 of these sets of 2 double crochets. In the next chain space we work 2 half trebles. So 1, 2, we do this 4 times, so that's 1. Second set of 2 half trebles. Third set of 2 half trebles. And the fourth set of 2 half trebles. So 4 times 2 half trebles. Now we come to the next series of chain spaces, and now we're going to work trebles, and we do that 6 times. So 2 trebles in the next chain space. And we do that 6 times. So that's 1. And this is 2. 3. I'll just work these with you. This is 4. Next one is 5. And this goes nice and fast. The last 2. 6. There you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2 trebles. I just need to move my blanket here. Now just before the flame stitches here, we're going to work sets of 3 double trebles, and the first one we're going to be working in the space, so here where my finger is poking through, the space before the next flame stitch. So in there we work 3 double trebles, so that's 2 times yarn over. So in that space, 1, twice over, 2, twice over, there we go, and that's 3. So in that space. We're now going to come to the next chain space. That's the one between the motifs these flame motifs, and work 3 double trebles in there as well. So 2 times yarn over, and you're going to do that in every chain space, so 10 times between the flame motifs. So this was the first time. I'm going to do that 10 times, so you'll have 10 of these chain spaces. So that was 1, twice over, that's 1, so work 3 double trebles in these spaces. And we do that 10 times. So this is 2 times, because this first one here doesn't count, so that's 1, 2, and the next one here will be 3, 4. Go on until you have 10 of these, and then I'll see you back. Then you're then you're at the end of the flame motifs. Then I'll see you back. So I've done the repeat 10 times. That brings you here. So I've now worked all of these 3 times a double treble, and then you're at the last chain space. We're going to work 3 more of these double trebles in the space after the last flame stitch. So that's here where my finger's poking through. So 2 times yarn over, then in that space work 3 times a double treble. So that's 1, 2, 3 in that space. Now we're going to come to the chain spaces here and repeat what we did on the other side, but reversed. So in the next 6 spaces, work 2 trebles in every space. This is 1, 2, to the next space, 3 times 2 trebles. I need to do this 3 more times, of course. 1, 2, so that's 4. Next one is 5. Here the last one is 6. So 6 times 2 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then in the next 4 spaces, 2 half trebles. That's 1, 2, so you only work in the chain spaces, 3 and 4 times 2 half trebles, and then in the next 21 chain spaces you work 2 doubles. So this really is a reverse order from the other side, nice and symmetric. These were 2 times 2 doubles. Repeat this 21 times, then you'll be almost to the corner. I'll see you back at that point. I've done the repeat 21 times. It brings me almost to the corner. If everything went right, you have 1 chain space left, and in that last chain space 1 double crochet. Then in the corner space work a new corner, that's a double, chain 2 and a double. And now you're at the beginning of your next edge. Repeat everything we just did 3 more times and close on your first stitch. And you can also fasten off. Round 70. I have color 5 on my hook, and we're going to start with a standing half treble in any corner space. So corner, standing half treble in the corner. Then another half treble in the same space. So that's 2 half trebles, chain 2, 1, 2, and then another 2 half trebles in the same space. So 1 and 2. So that's your new corner made. 2 half trebles, chain 2, 2 half trebles. Now the repeat on the long, or just on the edge, on the straight edge. We're going to skip the first stitch That's this stitch, that one. I'm going to skip that and come to the second stitch and work a half treble. And then that's the first half treble of 67, and that's quite a stretch. So you're going to make quite a few half trebles. So this is only number 2, 3, 4. Like I say, you're going to make 67. I'm not going to make a jump in the video. So make 67 half trebles, and then I'll see you. Then you're roughly at about a third of this edge. 67 half trebles. Done all the half trebles, and number 67, if everything went right, should fall here in your 4th double treble. You see there's 1, 2, 3, and then the last one here falls in number 4. So that's just a checkpoint for you. Now the bit in the middle, chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 6. I'm going to skip 2 stitches and then a double treble, so twice over. So skip 1, 2 stitches and come to the 3rd, and then we work a double treble. So 1, and again, so twice over, and a double treble in the next stitch as well. So double treble in those 2 stitches. Chain 2. Again, I'm going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2 stitches, and then work again a double treble in the next. So 1, and again twice over a double treble in the stitch after. Chain 6 again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to skip 2 stitches, that's 1, so skip 2 stitches, that's 1, 2, skip, and then work a double crochet in the next 9. See, so those 2 skip, and then 9 double crochet, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 double crochets. I'm just going to move my work a bit. Chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skipping 2 stitches and then work 2 double crochets again. Oh, sorry, 2 double trebles, I mean. So skipping 2 stitches and then we work 2 double trebles. So 1 and 2. Chain 2, I'm skipping 2 stitches. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches. So we're basically doing a reverse order. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and then work 2 double trebles again. 1 and 2. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip 2 stitches. Oh, this blanket is so big. Skip 2 stitches and then a half treble in the stitch after. And then this should be the first of again 67, which will bring you exactly to the corner. So I'm going to work 67 half trebles. Now worked 4, work 67, and then you'll be at the corner. I'll just see you back at that point when you've done 67 half trebles. When you've worked 67 half trebles, you should be at the corner again. That last stitch should fall exactly in your stitch before the corner. Then you work a new corner, so in the chain space, that's 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 half trebles. and 2. And now you're at this corner is the same corner as what we started with. So on your next edge, repeat everything we just did, and when you get to the first stitch, that standing half treble, close on that stitch with a slip stitch, and for the moment leave your yarn attached. When you're all the way around, you've closed to your first stitch, you're just going to slip stitch to the corner space. So it's 2 slip stitches. Now we're in the chain 2 corner space. Now we can continue with the next round. Round 71. So we're going to continue with the same color from the chain 2 corner space where we are now. Let's start with the chain 2. This counts as your first half treble. Now the rest of the corner, of course, another half treble, chain 2, and 2 more half trebles in the same corner. So that's your corner made. Now along the straight edge, we're going to be making so-called camel stitches. Now what this means is we're going to be making half trebles. I'm just going to open up. We're not going to make them in the stitch as we normally do, but if you roll the stitch over, if you look at it from the back, you see there's a third loop here to the back. That loop there. Going to work in that loop. So if you look at it from the front, you see here are the 2 loops that are normally your stitch, but right here at the back there's a third loop. Going to be grabbing that loop for all of these stitches. And we have 68 of these. So yarn over, going to skip the first stitch, and that actually makes life a lot easier. So this first stitch you're going to skip, going to come to the second. If you yarn over, and then go to your second stitch, that's going to be that loop there. That's the one we're going for, because the first one there is very much hidden. Okay, grab the yarn over, and then there. That's the first stitch. And then work that half treble in that first stitch, in the third loop. That's 1, and then come to the next stitch. So I'm purposefully rolling my work over that you can really see what I'm doing. So that's the second loop, second stitch, and then the third stitch. If you roll your work forward, you can very easily see where that loop is. There's a third loop to the back, and that creates that these stitches here roll forward. You can really see that edge very nicely. And that loop there. So work 68 of these. So again, if you roll it completely forward, it's that loop. That's the one you want. So work 68 of these half trebles in the third loop to the back, and then I'll see you as we make the elephants. When you've made all those half trebles, the last one will be, you'll be now at the chain space. Then you've done 68. Now we're going to do the first elephant. In the next chain space, work 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 4 double crochets in the chain space. In the next stitch, work a treble. So in that stitch, a treble. In the next stitch, a double treble. So that's twice over. 3, so double treble. The chain space, the chain 2 space, 3 times a triple treble. So it's 3 times yarn over, and then we do that 3 of those. So 1, 3 times yarn over. That's 2. That's 3 times yarn over. 3. The next stitch, a double treble again, so twice over. We do that again. Double treble, and the next chain, the next stitch, a treble, and then we get to the chain. So that's a treble. Now the next chain space, so this is the last chain space of the first elephant, I'm going to work 3 times a double treble. It's twice over. 1, 2, 3 times double treble, then a treble in the same space, so treble, chain 2, my yarn is not cooperating and the blanket isn't cooperating, chain 2, 1, 2, and then in this chain space 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work on the double crochets here. I'm going to skip the first one, so skipping the first double crochet, that's that one, I'm going to skip that one, come to the second, work a double crochet in there, chain 2, and then a double crochet in the same stitch. And that little stitch has been called a picot. A double crochet in the next 5 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 double crochets. You have 2 left. On the next stitch we're going to work a picot again, so that's a double crochet, chain 2, and then in the same stitch again a double crochet. If 1 stitch left, we're going to skip that. Now we're going to work the same as on the other side, but in reverse order. So on your next chain space, start with 3 times a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, a treble in the chain space, and 3 double trebles in the chain space. So 1, so that's twice over. This is 2, and this is 3. So that in that chain space 3 doubles, chain 2, a treble, and 3 times a double treble. In the next stitch, that stitch there, I'm going to work a treble. The stitch after a double treble. In the chain space, 3 times a triple treble, so it's 3 times yarn over, and that's 1, 2, 3 times yarn over, so almost to the end of a ball of yarn, and then the ball just doesn't cooperate anymore. 2, 3 times yarn over, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 3 times a triple treble in the chain space. In the next stitch, double treble again, so that's only twice over. 1, 2, 3, and here in the last stitch, a treble. You have 1 more chain space left. In that chain space, 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 4 double crochets. I'm going to continue on these half trebles and work those camel stitches again. We're again going to skip the first stitch and start at the second. And then you'll work 68 half trebles of those camel stitches. So that's the first loop we're going in, because that's the loop from the first stitch we're skipping. So you're taking the second stitch, that third loop, and that's the first one. Then come to your next stitch, the back loop, or not the back loop. The back loop is the wrong word because it's a third loop. And work 68 of these stitches, and that'll bring you to the corner. So work 68 of these half trebles in the back loop, and then I'll see you at the corner. When you've worked all those camel stitches, all 68, you should be at exactly the corner again. So in the corner, 2 half trebles, that's 1 and 2 half trebles, chain 2 and 2 half trebles, and then you're at the start of your next repeat unit. So here, skipping the first stitch, in the second stitch work again those back loop or those third loop stitches. Go all the way around, close on your first stitch, and then you can fasten off. Round 72. I have color 8 on my hook, and we're going to start in any chain corner space with a standing treble. I'm going to start here with the standing treble. It's a treble, then chain 2 and another treble in the same corner space. So it's a treble, chain 2 and a treble. Now, a repeat on the long edge. Chain 1, skip the next stitch and then work a treble. Now the next stitch is going to be this stitch here. So that's this first stitch is actually hidden. Then come to the second stitch and work a treble. That was 1. You're going to do this little bit 28 times. So chain 1, skip the next stitch and work a treble. That was 2. Again, chain 1, skip the next stitch and work a treble. So that's 3. Now repeat this until you've done it 28 times, and then I'll see you back. And especially this very first stitch here, be sure to skip that stitch. So chain 1, skip a stitch and a treble 28 times. When you've done the repeat 28 times, you should have just a little stretch left before you get to your elephants. Now on this last stretch, chain 1, then twice over, because we're going to do double treble, skip a stitch and work in the next stitch a double treble. So we do this 7 times. That's 1, skip a stitch, double treble is 2, chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double trebles, skip a stitch, that's 4, chain 1, this is 5, chain 1, and 6. I'm just going to work them all with you, and skip a stitch, and 7. And that last double treble here falls in the stitch just before the elephants. Now behind the elephants, we're still going to be working. We're going to work in triple trebles. Chain 1, chain 1. Triple treble, so there's 3 times yarn over. Then come behind the elephants. We're going to work in, you see these 2 stitches, you're going to grab the first one, but from the back. So fold your elephants to the front. Then in that first stitch, This is from round 96. That's 1. And chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, yarn over 3 times for triple treble. 1, 2, 3. And then come to the next. So here's a next set of stitches that are unworked, and that's the first one. So if you've got your elephants forward, then you know you'll be behind them. Chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. 3 times yarn over. Then again, your last set of 2 stitches here behind the first elephant. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you've got 3 of these legs behind the elephants. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do a double treble, and just move everything a bit, so twice over, and then here we have the double crochets. Going to work in that first double crochet. Here's the picot, the first one immediately after that. So twice over for a double treble. You see that's in the stitch immediately after the picot. I'm going to skip 3 stitches and then come to first we do chain 3, of course, otherwise we can't skip any stitches. Then twice over, because we again want to double treble. And then this is the double crochet before the next picot. 1, 2, 3. Then you have 3 chain 3 double crochets there in between that are not worked. Chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to work behind the next elephant. So again, I'm going to flip the elephant forward, and these stitches are going to every time the first one of these 2 stitches that are available. I'm going to use the first one. And I just move my fabric a bit. So chain 3, I just did that. And then 3 times yarn over. So folding the elephant forward, come to the first stitch. 2, 3, 4 times. Chain 3, again 3 times yarn over for a triple treble. Come to the next. So here you can cut those 2 stitches, grab the first one. 3, 4, again chain 3, and then your last leg here. You see, well, actually it's a bit below the tail actually. So 3 times yarn over. 2 stitches, you take the first one. 2, 3, 4. Again, if you pop the elephant back, you can see where those legs are. Chain 3, I believe, after the last leg. No, chain 1. So you've got to keep on looking at the pattern. Chain 1. Now we're going to work a double treble. And the first one is going to be here, this first half treble, that very first one. So you're going to skip the double crochets that are in the chain, then come to this first half treble. That's where your first double crochet goes. Oh, sorry, your first double treble goes in. We do this 7 times. Chain 1, twice over, skipping the stitch. And a double treble. So that was 2, chain 1, stitch 3. I'm going to go a bit faster, skip a stitch, and 4, chain 1. So this is the same as on the other side. So this is a nice mirror image. Chain 1, another double treble. I've got 4 now. So this is 5, 6, and 7. So you've done 7 times a double treble with a chain 1 in between. Now chain 1, and now we skip a stitch and we go to trebles, and that you will do 28 times, and then you'll be at the corner. So this is a mirror image of the start of the round. So chain 1, skip a stitch and a treble in the next stitch. I realize that I need to move everything. So chain 1 to skip that stitch and then a treble, and you'll do that 28 times, and then you'll be at the corner. And then I'll see you back just for the corner stitch, and then you go all the way around. When you've done the repeat 28 times, you should have one stitch left, that last stitch there before the corner. And chain 1, skip that last stitch and work a new corner. That's going to be a treble, chain 2 and a treble. And this corner is of course exactly the same as the corner you started with. So everything we just did along the first edge, repeat 3 more times, close on that first standing treble after you've done your last chain 1, and then you can also fasten off. Round 73, I have color 7 on my hook, and we're going to start in any corner space with a standing treble. And another treble in the same space, so that's 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 more trebles. 1 and 2. That's your corner made. The straight edge. On the first stitch, work 1 treble. So on this very first stitch here. Now we're going to come to the next treble. We're going to skip the chain space. So we come to the treble. To the stitch, work 2 trebles in there. So 1 and 2. And you're going to do that 32 times. So that was the first one. Then come to the next treble and work 2 trebles. So this was twice. Then the next treble, this is 3 times. That's 3 times. Continue this and do this 32 times in total. So I've now done 3 with you. You need to do 29 more, and then I'll see you back. When you've done the repeat 32 times, this is the point where you're at, and you have you have 3 more stitches, and then, or actually 4 more, and then you're here at the first elephant. And these last 4 stitches are going to work 2 double trebles on each. Twice over. So that's 1, 2. So you work 2 double trebles on the next stitch again. So I do this 4 times. This was 1. Just twice over. My fingers are a bit not cooperating. It's 2. It's 3. And the last one here is 4. And then you should be at the first chain 3 space behind your elephants. So that's 4 times 2 double trebles, and now you should be exactly behind the first elephants. Now, the next few stitches we're going to do is in the chain space, here in the chain 3 space, work 2 double trebles. So 1 and 2. Then in the stitch, work a double treble. So twice over, a double treble. Now we're going to work a treble in the elephant. If you look here at your elephant, you have these 3 trebles here. We're going in the chain 2 space. We're going to take the center one, and the center stitch of these 3, come to the back here in your 3rd loop. You see there there's the third loop. That's the loop you need. If you look at it from the front, you can actually see that loop sticking out there at the back. So here's the stitch, roll it over, that's the third loop. I'm going to work a treble in there. So yarn over, so it's the second of the 3 stitches, the center one. Roll it over, and in that back loop, or the third loop, I should say the third loop, work a treble. Then yarn over twice for a double treble, and then come back, and you're going to have to fold the elephant to the side, because in the stitch that we just worked that first double treble in, work another double treble in the same stitch. So that connects your elephant to your work, and so now you've got 2 double trebles in this same stitch. So you see there you've got 2 double trebles in there, and between them you have the treble in the elephant. Move over to the chain space, make 2 double trebles in here. So 1 and 2. Next stitch, work a double treble in the stitch, and now again a treble in the third loop of the elephant. If you look at the elephant, you've got these 3 double trebles, and then you've got the rest of the face and the trunk and everything. If you look at the 3 double trebles, the second one, come again to the back, so roll the stitch forward to the back, grab that loop, third loop, now complete the treble, and again twice over, come back to the same stitch where you just worked the treble, so that same position, and work another double treble. So we had the first double treble in, work another one in there, so you can see there are 2 stitches in there. Now we're at the chain space again, work 2 double trebles in the chain space. So 1, my yarn is almost finished, and 2 double trebles in the chain space, and then 2 double trebles in this stitch. I'm going to do that twice. So that's 1, 2 double trebles in there. I'm going to move everything. So in the next chain space again 2 double trebles. So 1, 2, and 2 double trebles here in the stitch. 1 and 2. The next chain space, again 2 double trebles in here. So 1 and 2. And now we're going to do the same idea again with the elephant and connecting the stitches. So in the next stitch, work a double treble. Now we're going to connect it to the elephant. Let's yarn over. And again, if you look at it's mirrored from the first elephant. If you look at those 3 double trebles, take the center one, roll it over, grab your third loop here to the back, and complete the treble. And then twice over and work a double treble in the same stitch where you just work that first double treble. So this is a mirror image from the first elephant. In the chain space, 2 double trebles. So 1, 2. In the next stitch, a double treble. Now a treble. Again, here if you look at the 3 stitches in the middle, roll them over, you take the loop, third loop on the middle stitch, your center of those 3 that are in the chain 2 space. Now work a treble, then yarn over twice, and in the same stitch work a double treble. Two double trebles in the chain space, 1 and 2. And now you've completed behind the second elephant. Now at the stitches where you had only the chain 1 spaces in between, now you're only going to work on the trebles and the double trebles. You're not going to work into the spaces anymore. On the next 5 stitches, actually the stitches work 2 double trebles on each. So that's 1, and this is 2. And actually I have just come, I'm almost to the end of a ball of yarn, so I'm actually going to join a new ball just on this stitch. I'll work away the yarn tails a bit later on. So that was 1, yarn over twice, and of course insert into the stitch, not next to it. It's 1 and 2. Come to the next stitch again. So you do this 5 times. That was 2. All of these stitches. I'm just going to do this with you. So this is 3. This is 4. Oh, and this is not completely symmetrical from the other side. Don't worry about that. That's done on purpose. Christina luckily knows what she's doing. And so now you've done that 5 times, 2 double trebles in each. And then in the next 31 stitches, so this is the first one, work 2 trebles in each. And again, skipping all the chain stitches, so you're only working like in the complete stitch and not in the chains. So this is 2 trebles, and then this here is the third one. So I've now done it 3 times. Do this 31 times, and then you're almost to the corner. I'll see you back at that point. When you've done the repeat 31 times, you should have 1 stitch left. Now for me this happens to be the stitch from the previous round with the slip stitch in it. Now in that last stitch before the corner, work 1 treble in that last stitch. And then you get to the corner. That's 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 trebles. And then you're at a point that you can repeat everything you just did on your next edge and work all the way around. So this corner is the same as the corner you started with. So on the next stitch you'll work 1 treble and then 2, 2, 2, etc. Go all the way around, close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 74. I have color 6 on my hook, and we're going to start in any corner space with a standing half treble. So I'm going to yarn over, so any corner space, a standing half treble. Chain 2 and another half treble in the same space. So that's your corner. Half treble, chain 2, half treble. We're now going to work 2 half trebles between the first 2 stitches. So you see here are the first 2, so we're going to insert between those stitches. So if I just come here from the back, we're going to work from the front, but if we come from the back, so really between those 2 in that gap there. So 2 half trebles. So yarn over, so between the stitches, that's 1 and 2. So you're not working in any stitch but really between the 2. We're now going to come to these groups of 2 stitches that you worked. In between the 2, going to work 2 half trebles. So you're going to skip these stitches, then come to the first group of 2 here. Insert your hook in there. I'm going to work 2 half trebles, so that's 1 and 2. And this we do 35 times. So that was 1. And then again insert in the middle, and this is 2. And when you've done this 35 times, will be roughly about by the elephants. And this is 3. So you can really see you're inserting your hook in between those 2 stitches. So this is 3 times. Do once more, and then you repeat this 35 times. 1 and 2. So you work 35 times 2 half trebles in between these groups of 2. And I'll see you back when you've done 35 of them, and then we'll do a few more. When you've worked 35 of those 2 half trebles in between the 2 stitches, you're just before the first elephant, and these last few stitches will of course not be here between the trebles, but will be between these longer stitches, but still 2 half trebles between all of them. Now we're going to be working 2 trebles between the stitches, and we're going to do that 19 times. But I'm going to be showing you every repeat, because this here is easy, because you see, okay, there you've got 2 stitches, and here you've got 2 stitches, but here when you get to these stitches that we made in the elephants, it gets just a little bit more, yeah, not tricky. Tricky is the wrong word, but then you just really need to look and see exactly which stitches you need. So in between the next 2 stitches, this group of 2, work 2 trebles. We're going to be working trebles now. So that was one group. And we will work 19 of these. Then come to the next 2 stitches. So you're going to skip 1, 2 posts, and then come to the next group. That's 1 and 2. And now you're at your first elephant, and this blanket is getting really hard to maneuver. We're going to skip 2 posts, so we're going to do 1, 2 skip, and we're going to grab the space just before the stitch that's worked in the elephant. So in there, so 1 and 2 trebles. Then we're again going to skip 2 posts, and now we're going to skip the stitch and that stitch, and come here. And that's 1, 2. We again skip 2 posts, so 1, 2, and that's the next space. 1, 2 trebles, and again skipping 2 posts, so 1, 2, and here's the next one, and this one is just after that stitch that's connected to the elephant. 1, 2. So now we're behind. Now we've completed the first elephant. Come to the next stitch, next 2 stitches. So again, 1, 2 stitches skip. And now you're again nicely between the 2 stitches that are in the chain space. So 2 trebles in there. And then your next, I've got everything all tied up and twisted here. And then your next one will be between the 2 stitches that's in the front, that's in the post here. 1, 2. And the moment you see you're not aligned here, you're not nicely in the center of these 2 stitches that are worked into a space or into a group, you most likely skipped 1 stitch too many somewhere along the line, or 1 too few. So again, skipping those 2 posts, your next one should be here nicely in the middle. 1, 2. The next one again should be, if you skip 2 posts, 1, 2. And let me just move the blanket a bit, and then we continue again. Now we're at the next elephant. Now again, paying close attention, skipping 1, 2 posts, and the next set of 2 trebles should be in the stitch just before the connection to the elephant. That's 1 and 2. And there's just a knot in my yarn here. I just like to cut these knots out, because then I work away the yarn tail and then it just looks a bit better. So I'm just going to change on that last stitch. So that's 2 trebles, then again skipping 2 posts, so 1, 2. So the first one you're skipping is the stitch that's connected to the elephant and the stitch after. And then that's 1, 2. And again skipping 2 stitches, posts of 2 stitches, so that's 1, 2 skip, 1, 2, and again 1, 2 skip. The second one is connected to the elephant, so you're just in the space after that. 1, 2, and then again skipping 1, 2 posts. You should now again be nicely in the center between 2 stitches that's in the chain space. 1 and 2. And I do believe I think I've worked 18 now, and then here the next one is again nicely in the center. I just need to count how many of these treble groups we've now worked, because I've of course not really kept count anymore. We need to do 19. So here's the last half treble. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so I need to do 2 more. And just keep on counting. So in your next one is here again between 2 stitches. And now it's again easy. Now you can just go every time between those 2 stitches that's worked into 1 stitch. And then this should be number 19. And of course I'm always paranoid, so I really do count these things twice, because otherwise you're going to have to rip things out. And there we go. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, so I've worked 19 of these 2 trebles in a stitch. And now we're working half trebles again. So in the next space between 2 stitches, work 2 half trebles. And this time only 32. So only 32 of these repeats. So that was twice. And when you've worked 32, you'll be almost to the corner. Not completely, but almost. This is 32. So this is the 3rd repeat. Work 2 half trebles between all of those stitches. So I've now worked 4 with you. Repeat until you have 32, and then I'll see you back. I've now done the repeat 32 times, and at this point you should have 1 group of 2 stitches left, and then these 3 stitches in the corner. In that last group, work 2 half trebles between the 2 stitches. And now you're going to skip the next, basically 3 posts. So that's this stitch and that one, and I've got the slip stitch in here. So but between the second last and last stitch, in between there, insert your hook. That's 1. I've also got the slip stitch in there, so just ignore that. And 2. So you see you've got 3 stitches that you're now skipping, whereas every time you've just done the 2. And now get to the corner, and the corner is the same as the corner we started with. So it's a half treble, chain 2, and a half treble. And everything you've just done, go all the way around, repeat 3 more times, close on your first stitch, and fasten off. Round 75, color 8 on my hook. I'm going to start in any corner space with a standing double crochet. Chain 2, and another double in the same space. Your first corner. For the edge, in the first stitch, and you're going to have to move your corner stitch aside to see that stitch. Here's your first stitch, a double crochet in there. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2 stitches, and then work a double crochet in the next 9 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I need a bit more yarn, 7, 8, and 9. Then starting at the chain, this you're going to repeat 16 times in total. So this was once, I'll show you again, and then you repeat it 14 more times. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, skip, then come to the next. Then this is the first of 9 doubles, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 doubles. So this is the repeat, the second time. You're going to do this 16 times in total, so you need to do 14 more. When you've done that, you'll be almost to the corner. You'll have a few stitches left, and I'll see you back at that point. So when you've done this repeat 14 more times, 16 times in total. When you've done the repeat 16 times, you should have 3 stitches left. And chain 3, skipping 2 stitches, in the last stitch before the corner, 1 more double crochet. And in the corner space you work a new corner, so a double crochet, chain 2, and a double. And now you're at the same point we were when we started, so a double crochet in the first stitch, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, 9 doubles, etc. Go all the way around. You get back to the first stitch, join to that stitch, and fasten off. Round 76, I have color 7 on my hook again, and we're going to start in any corner space, so chain 2 space with a standing treble. 1 treble in the corner, and then another one, because the corner is going to be 2 trebles, chain 2, and 2 trebles in the same space. 1 and 2. So your corner is 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 trebles. Then the straight edge. Going to be working a lot of trebles this round. The first stitch we're going to skip. If you look at that little stitch there, you're going to skip that and come to the second stitch. So in the second stitch, work a treble. So in that second stitch. So the first one really falls underneath the corner. Second, work a treble. Then for the repeats, in the chain space here, 2 trebles. 2 trebles in that space. 1 and 2. And then on the next 9 stitches, those 9 doubles, work a treble on each. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but yeah, 6, 7, 8, and the last one here, 9. So treble on each of those 9 stitches. And this bit here, I'm going to repeat this 16 times in total. So in the next chain space, going to work 2 trebles, and then a treble on each of these 9 double crochets. that'll be our second repeat, etc., etc. So 16 times, 2 trebles in the chain space, and then 9 trebles, 1 on every stitch. Repeat this 16 times, you'll be almost to the end, and then I'll see you back for the last few stitches in the corner. When you've done the repeat 16 times, you should have 1 chain space left and 2 stitches before the corner. Now in that last chain space, 2 trebles. 1 and 2. And on the last 2 stitches, 1 treble on each. 1 and 2. And then you're at the corner, which is the same corner as the one we started with. So 2 trebles, chain 2, and 2 trebles in the same space. 1 and 2. And now repeat everything you just did. So skip the first stitch, the treble, well, everything you just did three more times. And when you get to your first stitch, that first standing treble, close on that stitch with an invisible join, because it'll make your next round more pretty. So close on your first stitch with an invisible join, and then I'll see you for the next round. Round 77. I have color 8s on my hook, and we're going to start with a standing double crochet in any corner space. Double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet in the same space. And that's your corner made. Going to work a double crochet in the back loop of the first 3 stitches. So here's the first stitch. So you just take the back loop. Normally you'd go through both loops. Now you just take the back loop. 2 and 3. So double crochet in the back loop of those first 3 stitches. Then we're going to work a double treble, and we're going to come down, and in the stitches from round 74, these 2 that we skipped, going to be working in those 2. So a double treble, so that's twice over, and come down and into the first stitch. And be sure to so all your work, the rest of your work is to the back. You're going to skip all of that. So really stay in front of your work. 2, 3. So that's 1 double treble, and twice over, and come to the second stitch. Again, be sure to stay in front of your work. And that is 2. Going to skip the next 2 stitches on the back. So you've got these 2 stitches that are made in the chain space. That's the 2 that you're going to skip. And then come to the first stitch that's here in the double crochet. And now you're going to work in the back loop again. So you see I'm skipping 2 stitches. Then in the back loop of the next treble. And that's going to be the first of 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, so the back loop only, 4, 5, 6, 7, a bit more yarn, 7, 8, and 9. And this stretch here, starting from the double treble to this double crochet, I'm going to repeat this 16 times. So I'll just start you on the next repeat. So yarn over twice, then come down to the skipped stitch from round 74. And that's a double treble. 1, 2, 3 times yarn over, and the same in the next stitch. 2, 3, and skipping 2 stitches to the back, 2 stitches to the back, double crochet in the back loop of the next 9. I've now worked 2. So you're going to repeat this until you're to the end, almost, you'll be almost to the end. So repeat this 16 times in total, so I've now done 2 and a bit, and then I'll see you back when you're almost to the next corner for the last few stitches. When you've done the repeat 16 times, this is the point where you'll be at. You'll have worked your last double crochet in the back loop of this treble here. You have 6 stitches left. I'm going to start by working 2 double trebles in the last 2 skipped stitches from round 74. So that's twice over. Into the first stitch. And twice over and into the second stitch. Work your last 2 double trebles. Now what's really important is we're going to skip 3 stitches to the back. And then work a back loop, a double crochet in the back loop of the last 3 stitches. So you're going to skip 3 stitches to the back. See, I'm skipping 1, 2, 3. And then a double crochet in the back loop of the last 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then you're at the corner. Double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And now you're at the same point we were when we started. So on the next edge, repeat everything we've just done, go all the way around, and when you get back to your first double crochet, join on that stitch and fasten off. Round 78. I have color 6 on my hook. We're going to start in any corner space with this standing double crochet. Chain 2 and another double. So that's your new corner. Double, chain 2 and a double. Then for the straight edge, I'm going to work a double crochet in the first 8 stitches. Here be mindful of the first one. You also take that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 double crochets. We're now going to start the repeat that we do 16 times, just like we've done before. We're going to work a front post double treble around the second double crochet here from round 75. So you see you have these 9 double crochets that you worked here. Going to grab the second one and work a front post double treble. So it's twice over for the double treble. So that's the first one. Come to the second, around that post, and then 1, 2, 3. Complete the double treble. I'm going to skip 1 stitch to the back, skip a stitch to the back, and work a double crochet in the next stitch. Again, we're going to again work a front post double treble. So at first, but we're going to skip this double crochet and then come to the next one. Yarn over twice. So that's the last one worked. Skip 1 and then come to the next one. And again a front post double treble around that stitch. I'm going to do this 2 more times. So skip a stitch to the back, and a double crochet, yarn over twice, skip the next double and then come to the double after that on round 75. 1, 2, 3. Again skipping 1 stitch to the back, work a double crochet, and the last front post double treble is going to be on that double crochet here. So twice over, skip this one. So come. This will be the second last one of the 9. 1, 2, 3. So that's in the second last one. So you have 1 double crochet left here. So you can see from the 9, they're like nicely in the center, the center 4. So it's not yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That's how you've worked them. So we're going to skip the last stitch here to the back. So that's the last. We're going to skip that one and then work 4 double crochets. That's 1, and this first one should always fall here in the long front post double treble. That's 1, or this is a double treble, I should say. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's your entire repeat unit, because this double crochet here is the same as that one there. So this is the repeat. I'm going to do this 15 more times. I've just done once with you. So now your next stitch will be a front post double treble here around the second stitch, second double crochet. So front post double treble, 1 double crochet, skip a stitch. So all of this, work this 15 more times, 16 times in total, and then I'll see you just at the corner for the last few stitches when you've done this repeat 16 times in total. When you've done the repeat 16 times, you see here's my last repeat, you should have before the corner exactly 2 stitches left. So after you've done those last 4 double crochets, there should be 2 stitches left. Do a double crochet on each of those. So 1, 2, and then in the corner, of course, a new corner, it will be 1 double, chain 2, and a double. And now you're at the same point where we started. So go all the way around, close on your first stitch, and fasten off. Round 79. Color 8 on my hook. I'm going to start with a standing double crochet in the corner space. Chain 2 and another double crochet in the same corner. And that's your new corner. On the edge, we're going to skip the first stitch. So that stitch, going to skip that. Then come to the second, work a double. That's the first of 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Now we're going to start the repeat that we'll again be doing 16 times. Come down and work a front post treble around this front post treble here. So actually we're going to work one around both of them. They're from round 77. So yarn over. So in the first front post treble. Yarn over again and around the next stitch also a front post treble. Skipping 2 stitches to the back, we're then going to work 9 back post double crochets, so back post stitches. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, so those 2, and then come to this stitch, but we're going to work in it from the back because we're going to do a back post double. So in that stitch, work around the post of that stitch, a back post double crochet. That's the first one. Then your second, these are going to work 9, and the second one is around this first front post double treble. So that's just a checkpoint, because it can be hard to see exactly which, am I skipping the right number of stitches here? But you see there are 2 stitches unworked to the back there, and that's 1. This is number 2. So then this is 3. This is 4, 5, 8, and then the stitch here is the last one, 9. And you'll notice you have the feeling that everything is just leaning to the to one side, to the side, and that's correct. We'll correct that later on. And this is it. This repeat you're going to do almost to the end, so 16 times, and then I'll see you for the last few stitches. So if I just start the next one with you, that's one front post treble around the next stitch as well, skipping 2 stitches, so that's 1 2 skip going for this stitch, but grab it from the back because we want to work a back post double crochet, and that's the first one, and then here the second one is again around the front post double treble. So this is the start of the second repeat. Do this 16 times and then I'll see you back. When you've done the repeat 16 times, you'll have a number of stitches left. Go to the 2 last front post trebles here on these last 2 stitches from round 77. Skip 2 stitches to the back, so I'm skipping 1 2, and then work a double crochet on the last 4 stitches. It's 1 2, this is 3, and I just happen to have the stitch here with the slip stitch join, so I'm just going to insert in there, covering the slip stitch, and that's 4. And then you're at the corner, so double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet, and now you're at the start of the next edge. So repeat all of this 3 more times, close on your first stitch and fasten off. Round 80. Round 80 is a nice and relaxed round. I have color 7 on my hook, and we're going to work a corner, that's 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 trebles. That's 1, 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 trebles. That's your corner. We skip the first stitch, it's this one, skip that one, then come to the second stitch and work a treble on every stitch till you get to the next corner. That's why I say it's a nice and relaxed round, just around the trebles. Remember to skip the first stitch on every edge, so like we did here. So skipping that first stitch, and then you work a treble on every stitch, then your corner, 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 trebles, all the way around, and fasten off. Round 81, I have color 8 on my hook. I'm going to start in any corner space with a standing double crochet, so double, chain 2 and a double, and that's the new corner made. So double, chain 2 and a double. Repeat on the edge. I'm going to start by working a double crochet in the first 6 stitches, but only in the back loops of the stitches. Now here's the first stitch, especially this one can be hard to see. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 back loop double crochets. We're now going to start the repeat over the next few stitches, and this time we're going to do it 17 times and not 16, but it's the same idea. So over a number of stitches you repeat the same pattern. So the first stitch is a front post double treble cluster around this treble here. So you've got these 2 trebles from 2 rows down around the first one. So I'm going twice over for the double treble around that stitch. Take off 2, take off 2, then stop, then twice over again because it's a double treble, then around the same stitch, same front post double treble. The front post treble, you work the front post double treble. 3 loops on your hook, take them all off. There's a front post double treble cluster around that treble. I'm going to skip 1 stitch to the back and then work double crochet. So you can skip that stitch, then come to the next and work a double crochet. Now you're working it through both loops. You're going to work 3, so it's 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and these 3 are through both loops, so the entire stitch is a normal double crochet. Again, work a front post double treble cluster around the second one. So here you've got this, now the second treble. I'm going to work around that. So that's twice over. And just fold your work just a little bit to get around that. That's the first leg. And again, yarn over twice. And the second leg. 2, 3 loops on your hook, take them off. Again, skip 1 stitch to the back, and then we're going to work a back loop double crochet on the next 6 stitches. So skipping 1 stitch to the back, skipping 1 stitch, so that one, skip that, and then in the next stitch only the back loop, make a double crochet. That's the first of 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, need a bit more yarn, 5, and 6. There you go. And this is the repeat. Okay, so starting at the first treble cluster until this double crochet. So starting at the front post double treble cluster, repeat 16 more times. So you're going to do this 17 times in total. And then on your last repeat you won't work 6 double crochets but only work 5. So repeat this 16 times more times. And I'll just see you on the last few stitches for the corner. But repeat this until you're to the end of the edge. I'm just on repeat 17, so this is the last repeat. I've just worked a series of clusters, skipping 1 stitch to the back. I'm going to skip that stitch there, then come to the next, and in the back loop work a double crochet. And now you're only going to work 5, so not 6, only 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 5 double crochets on those last stitches. In the corner, new corner, double crochet, chain 2, and double. And now you're back at the beginning of the next edge. Repeat everything you've just done on this one edge on your other 3 edges, close to your first stitch, and fasten off. Round 82, you now have the back of your work facing. See here I still have a yarn tail, so it's important. Turn your work around, you have the back side facing. What we're going to do is corner 2 half trebles, chain 2 half trebles, and then a half treble on every stitch. That's what we're working. So as such a snooze round, but have the wrong side facing. So in any corner space, 2 half trebles, so that's 1, 2 half trebles, chain 2, and 2 again 2 more half trebles. And that's your first corner. And now we work a half treble on every stitch. And remember, your stitches are now, well, they're pointing the other way because you have the wrong side facing. So the V's are pointing in the other direction. So work a half treble on every stitch until you're to the next corner. And then again work 2 half trebles, chain 2, 2 half trebles in your next corner. Go all the way around. That's a nice easy round, half treble on every stitch. And when you get here to your, if you get to the, when you're all the way around, you'll work your last stitch here. This is your last stitch to work in, and then close on your first standing half treble. And then you can also fasten off. Round 83, important, now again have the right side facing, so the front of your work, and I have color 8 on my hook. I'm going to start in any corner space with a double crochet, chain 2 and a double. That's the corner. Go to the chain 2 space, it's a double, chain 2 and another double. That's your new corner made. We're now going to start on the straight edge. We'll start by working a double crochet in the first 6 stitches. And what's important, this here, if you look at your work right now, if you look at it from the front, this here is not your stitch. These loops you see here at the bottom, this is actually the 3rd loop from the half treble. If you just roll your stitches forward, this is your stitch. So not that. See, so that's an easy mistake to make because you have the stitches from the back now. These here at the top, these are your stitches. So just roll your work ever so slightly forward. Then the first stitch, if you roll your stitches forward, here you see this first V, that's the first stitch. Remember, they're again pointing the other way than they did up till now. So that's because again you have it from the back. That's one. And then you can see this 3rd loop stays here. You don't work in that loop. So roll your stitch forward. It's 1. And this is 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's the last one. 6. 6 double crochets, 1 in the first 6 stitches. We now work a front post double treble around the cluster from 2 rows down. So that's twice over, and around the cluster, grab your yarn and then just give this stitch enough room to breathe. Skipping a stitch to the back, and remember to, if you need to roll your stitches forward, it's going to skip that stitch and then come to the next and work a double crochet in there. I've got my yarn on the other side. See, I'm skipping a stitch, then work a double crochet in the next 7. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 double crochets. Now we again work a front post double treble around the cluster stitch, around the next cluster. So this one's slightly coming back. Twice over. So around this cluster, work a front post double treble. Skipping a stitch to the back. Again, we'll skip 1 stitch to the back. And then work 2 double crochets. That's 1 and 2. And starting here at the front post double treble, up to this point, this we repeat 17 times in total. Then you'll be almost to the other side. I'll just start you on the next repeat, twice over for the front post double treble, 2, 3 times yarn over, skipping 1 stitch to the back, skipping the other stitch. Then this is the first double of 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now again a front post double treble around this cluster. I'll just work the repeat twice with you. Skip a stitch to the back, I'm skipping 1 stitch, and then 2 doubles. So 1, 2. Then repeat twice now. Need to do a few more, 17 times in total, and then you'll have a few stitches left before the corner. I'll see you back when you've done the last repeat. When you've done the repeat 17 times, you should have 5 stitches left. This last stitch, that one there, is a little bit hidden. So then 5, oh, that's not the correct place there. 5 more stitches, 5 more double crochets, 1 on each. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the last one. 5. 5 more doubles. So the 2 from the repeat plus 5. Then in the corner, you work a new corner. So double, chain 2, and a double crochet. Now repeat all of this 3 more times, close to your first stitch, and fasten off. Round 84, last round of this part. I have color 7 on my hook, and we start in any corner space with a standing double crochet. So a double crochet, chain 2, and a double. That's your corner made. You're going to skip the first stitch. It's this stitch, so skip that stitch and then come to the second and work a double. And then this is the first of 15. So that's 1, 2, 3, and just work 15 double crochets. 15 double crochets, and this last stitch, number 15, falls in that front post stitch, the second front post stitch. So not that one, but the second one here. We're now going to start the repeat unit that we'll do 16 times. Over the next 2 stitches, and those are these 2 stitches that are here in the middle, on those 2 work a back post double crochet on each. So around the first one, and the second one. So back post double around those 2 stitches, and that nicely turns them forward. We're going to skip the front post. So you've got here the front post stitch. I'm going to skip that stitch, then come to the stitch after and work 2 doubles in that stitch. 1 and 2. Then on the next 7 stitches, work 1 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then number 7 again falls here in this front post treble. And these stitches, repeat this 16 more times. So now again here on these 2 center stitches, work a back post double crochet on those 2, and then skipping the front post, 2 doubles in the stitch after. So I'll just show you the back post again, around the stitch from the back. So 1, 2, skipping the front post stitch, come to the stitch after and work 2 doubles. So repeat this section 15 more times. I've now done 1.5 with you. You need to do 16 in total. Then I'll see you just before the next corner for the last 2 stitches. When you've done the repeat 16 times, you should have, this is your point where you should finish, so fall on that last treble there, and you should have 8 stitches left before the corner. And in those 8 stitches, work a double crochet on every stitch. And then when you get to the corner, we work the same corner as we started with. So that's a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. And then you repeat everything that we did on this edge on your other 3 edges also. So the corner again, double, chain 2, and a double. So repeat all of this all the way around, and remember every time to skip your first stitch on each edge. And when you're back at the beginning, you can fasten off. And when you're all done, this is what your work looks like. You've added this beautiful band to your blanket. End of part 5. I hope to see you next time for part 6.